I know that we've been seeing on TV a lot of security problems in schools. How will we be able to secure and make, what would you do? Or some improvements that you would make in the schools to make our kids feel safe and secure going to school and their parents sending them to school?
First of all, I would do a couple things. The very first thing I would do is take my paraprofessional staff and train them very well. You can't take security lightly. I mean, security's got to be one of your most important things that you put into the school. It's almost got to be higher education at some point. Education is not higher, but security's got to be right there, because you want the kids to be safe, you want the teachers to be safe. So I think we need to get a good trained staff, and we need to be consistent throughout the district. So everybody in the district is doing the exact same thing. So the security at Elsick is the same as Taylor. The security at Alexander is the same as the other elementary schools. At Albright is the same as O'Donnell. So we need to have a consistent, trained staff on what we do. We need to be ID badges. They need to be consistent, because we have students in school that look like grown-ups. So in an emergency situation, if you don't know your students very well, your staff, you don't know what's going on, you're not very well trained, you may very well injure a student thinking they were an assailant. So I think a real good trained staff, a good program, that we need to look at just what the policy is on that and how they're doing this, and we need to look at it and we need to make it viable, and we need to make it very, very good.
And there's some things you can do structurally too. For example, I know when we would do our lockdown drills, some of those keys don't work very well on some of those locks. So structurally, we need to look at some of these things, maybe fixing these locks so that they can be locked from the inside. Because I know at Owens, when I was working there, we had to lock the door. You had to go outside to lock it and then scoot back in. Well, that just puts that person in danger, So, I think structurally, you got to look at your campuses, and it wouldn't be so hard to invest in that, because a lot of our campuses are basically the same, All the intermediate schools are designed in the same floor plan, and such. So I think we could work that, structurally. I think there's some issues there.
I would like to say, one of the things we cannot do is create prison-like campuses. That is definitely not the answer. But I do think there are things that we can do that are security in nature, but are aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I often, I'm getting back to it, but I used to run every evening, and this new family moved in around the corner. I used to cross the park, so they lived right next door to the park, and so I had to walk past their house to get to my little running area, and I had never seen a dog so big. And I never seen one so big with his teeth grit coming at me. But somehow, like right before he got to the curb, he would stop and he would just bark. And he would just bark and he would just bark. And I was like, okay, why aren't you coming out? What's going on? And so, the owner came out and he said, oh, I got an invisible fence up, because of course he wanted to keep his yard aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but he wanted to make sure he had control of his pet. And so, I respected that. I thought that was a very good idea. And I told him, please always check the batteries on this collar. But these are some of the things that we can do with our school buildings. Again, our students, we need to prepare our students. I think students should have an element of safety being taught to them in their classes, or as a separate class, because safety is everybody's responsibility. And then parents, parents, we need to have more parent professional development, if I could use that term, offered to our parents, not just in terms of safety, but in terms of academics and in terms of child development. It's very important that they understand the developmental level of their child. understand how they child, why is belonging so important to my child right now? You know, why is oppositional defiance so apparent in my child right now, you know, and then giving them the tools that will help them facilitate the right way or facilitate their child through that stage.
Coach Woods, you got any questions? What you like to see change in the district, Coach?
Oh, I knew you was gonna ask me that question.
Well, you know, Coach Woods is one of our coaches. He coaches in Hastings, started out at Taylor High School, coaching my sons, who and his son also, they went to high school together. And so I've been knowing him for a long, long time. He's been in the district, out the district, now he's back in the district. So hopefully you have any
That's a
questions.
good question coming from somebody that has been out and in.
Well,
What
just
would
being different districts and then coming back to Alief, our whole output here is to make our kids be held responsible for their actions. I think we need to teach our kids on a realistic but yet holistic fashion, to have them understand that life is not the same in school as it is outside. We as parents and we as teachers, we try to go that extra step, but I know it's hard to do because you're still teaching for test scores, which eliminates a lot of things in the school that we could offer our kids. I know every kid's not going to go to college. Every kid's not going to be a doctor or a lawyer. But what we need to instill back in our kids, which I think will improve our kids holistically, is vocational. If we could establish, we could establish getting back the vocational trades and vocational programs back into our schools, it would help our kids. Whereas there's a fall off maybe in the educational part of Johnny may not be able to get straight A's and go to college, but having a trade or being able to fulfill his life with a trade will help him want to stay in school, will help eliminate those issues of absences and those issues of behavior if they had something to look forward to, something to do. I know athletes, they work so hard to keep their grades up because that's something that they want to do. That's athletics. You know, they achieve from that. And most athletes want, if you ask every athlete in America, what do you want to do after school? They all want to go to college. And as a coach, we know every athlete's not going to be able to go to college because it's only that select few that they're going to select and give that scholarship to. If mom and dad doesn't have that finances to send you or financial aid to get you there, then you're not going to go. But you know, with them having that alternative of saying, I may not be the best athlete, but I can be the best wood builder or the best carpenter or the best electrician, or that it helps to keep them occupied and motivated within the school system.
I knew a carpenter.
And like what you were saying, you know, that about the finances, I mean, financial aid is very expensive. And it's not right for kids to be graduating with so much debt. But if they have a trade that they can work, they can earn their monies to go to college. You know, if they're motivated and that's what they want to do, they can use that as a way to get there without so much debt.
Do you know electricians have to know trigonometry? Electricians have to understand geometry, algebra. That's higher than math. And those are the kind of scores and curriculum that the state measures your students' success by, which, you know, I don't put a lot into state assessments. But I do think, you know, we're not shortchanging our kids because we're offering them career technology education. We're helping them. The fact of the matter is, many of our kids are the adult of their family. They're going to work after school, and some of them 2 jobs to help take care of younger siblings, their parents, and their household. what better way to assist them to do that with a career in which they can not only assist in that area, but they can even look forward to having a family of their own and being able to support that family.
And an electrician makes $68,000 a year versus a teacher which makes $40,000. So
I had a teacher tell me that he needed to have some plumbing work done in his house. And when the plumber got there, he was like, you know, hey man, do you mind if I ask you something personal?